Okay, this is just a little bit.
And is that a phone?
Yeah, just a Samsung.
Oh, okay.
Oh, look at her, got her little thing. Go ahead, y'all.
I'm like, geez, all this stuff that goes, you can do with them phones now.
Lord have mercy. Oh, where you get that, child? What's that? What's that thing called?
Oh, they're doing a live feed.
Yeah, doing a live feed on Facebook.
I tell you, Philly did
They got the technology.
around because he's all into that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's him. That's the.
That's him.
All that. Yeah.
That's him.
Who would have thought when they
We took that idea off of him about, emailing the workshops, programmatic meetings.
Yeah, that's
So it was
awesome.
like,
What's his name? Norrell.
Morel
Oh, he's the president.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's the president of Sony.
Oh, he's all in there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning to everyone. I'm glad to see you all here so bright and early without any breakfast necessarily.
We ate.
You got your coffee, you got
They
your
good,
water.
too. We
So
ate
that's a good
breakfast.
thing. My name is Victoria Huggins Peurifoy, and I would like to open us up by sharing some poetry with you. So here I go. I came up with Stokely Carmichael, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, Cecil B. Moore, and Soul on Ice. I came up with God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, Sunday School, Pride for Youth, Preparing for Christian Leadership, Spiritual Feedings and Blessings aplenty. I came up with James Brown, Gladys Knight the Pips, the Temptations, the Iceman, Jerry Butler, the Supremes, the Unifics, Lena Horne, and Slide, and the Family Stone. Right? I came up with civil rights changes and civil rights marches and civil rights banners and civil rights mentors and civil rights gone by. I came up with a Sunday school teacher and a pastor who taught my life exists with God walking ahead of me and the Son carrying me and the Holy Spirit keeping me strong. I came up with music that is unforgettable. That's what you are. That made me say aloud, I'm black and I'm proud, saying, can I have a talk with you? Can I make your dreams come true? Can I be in love with you? Oh, child, I would if I could. As I heard it through the grapevine saying, baby, baby, where did our love go? Oh, child, don't you want me? Don't you want me no more? Then I realized that I am everyday people. Yeah, yeah.
Let's bop on that one.
I came up with the barking attack dogs and the fire hoses and the clubbings and the bombings and the burning down 52nd Street and the civics group called Citizens for Progress and the gangbangers, be they girls or be they boys, and the neighborhood color guard to see the coast was the best. And the Gil Scott Heron, the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. I came up in IRS when I was but 20 years old. Often when there was a district office and the ultimate goal was to get to a position in the regional office. And then they shut down the regions and gave us commissioners and SBSE and LMB and CI and WI and TEGE. Then I retired to the good life. I came up with my Mahalia Jackson one of these mornings. Shirley Caesar and No Charge and the Hawkins, I'm going up yonder, and the Ward sisters and Yolanda Adams and Vicki Wine saying, I had a talk with an old friend. We talked about how we had changed. I came up with a conscience and a purpose, a direction, and as I came up, there was a realization that the church and the music and the civic lessons and the experience of IRS and the experience of the civil rights era helped me to grow. When we all came up with the political rally called Power to the People, Power to the People, Power to the People. Thank you.
Amen.
Miss Victoria Huggins, Peurifoy. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, we're going to have a good time today, this weekend. We're going to try to have some fun. Everybody has some fun, be relaxed. At the same time, hope everybody goes home with something new that you didn't know before you came here this weekend. Right now, before, excuse me, my name is Neuro Story. I'm the president of Philadelphia chapter. I just wanted to welcome you to the 2018 Mid-Atlantic Regional Conference. Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking the time. I do want to give a couple housekeeping notes real quick before I introduce our MC. First, I tried to send everybody, we do have an app for this conference. We're trying to bring this organization to the 21st century. This is supposed to be a networking organization. I need you to network, damn it, okay? There are people here you may be familiar with, there are people here you may not be familiar with. On the app, which if you can't get on the app, I will go up to the front desk, they will give you the code to get on the app. But there's a section on there called contact info. Put your info in there, put what you do. There's somebody that's going to want to know who you are, somebody who wants to say hi to you. This is supposed to be learning who people are. You might want to know who somebody is, or what somebody does. You might see something interesting and say, I need to talk to that person. So, we do have a Facebook contact. We have Facebook reporters in here who are going Facebook Live for our Philly AIM. We're live right now. So, there's a Facebook contact on the app. Connect with us on Facebook. You can see, you can be interviewed on the live feed on Facebook. We want to bring this conference out to folks who could not come to the conference, who want to find out what they're missing. We want them to know what they're missing. So we're trying to promote this. There's also a photo book app on the conference. If you're taking pictures with your cell phone of you, selfies, your friends, upload it to the app, share it with everybody. So when somebody says, I met so-and-so, what she looked like? Well, she was like so tall, like just show the photo. Show them the photo. This is so-and-so, okay. So we can share photos, we can share contact information. I want this to be a sharing interactive. There's a rating system for everything that we do here. So if you want to rate something, and I hope you all rate 5 stars, but for everything, but if you want to rate something or give comments, feel free to give feedback to everything in the conference. There's also something that we have that if you came to the last conference Philly gave, is a USB flash drive. Now this flash drive has all the materials from the conference that we're giving you this weekend. The workshop presentations, the conference book is on this app, on this flash drive. There's also the Sound of Philadelphia. So if you have a newer car that has a USB port, you can put this in on the way home and listen to some good music on the way home. Or when you get home, put in your laptop and still listen to good music. Okay, there's also information about what's going on in the area as far as hotel information, local information, things like that. So everything you need to know about this conference is on this flash drive. To get one of these flash drives, because I'm sure you don't have one right now, if you have a name tag, that means you register. Go back to after this session is over, go back to the registration table, show your name tag, you get a flash drive. And it saves on your wristband, so you can wear it on your wristband, wear it for now, use it later. Right now, I'd like to introduce our Mistress of Ceremonies, our MC, the incomparable Kelli Key, who is staff director, chief of staff for EDI, and she does a darn good job of doing what she does. And I'm going to give the program over to her, and I hope you guys give her your most attention.
Thank you. She does a darn good job, and she's only going to do it for 8 more months.
months. It did.
All right.
Y'all got me for 8 more months. But welcome to Philadelphia, my home. Nice to see all of y'all. And I got to say that I am not only pleased but honored to serve as your mistress of ceremony for the opening session for AIM. I can remember myself as a 20-something-year-old leaving the University of Pittsburgh and coming in here to a job at IRS that I applied for that I honestly can't say I even knew what I applied for. I just know that my mother said I needed a job, and I got on. I looked and I found the job and I applied and I showed up for the interview and I was hired. And I was hired at a time in the 80s where AIM was very much alive and thriving. Amen. You didn't have to look for AIM-IRS. AIM-IRS looked for you. Amen. And I know that within a very short time of reporting to my desk in taxpayer service, somebody came to me and started talking to me about the organization. And being young and right out of school, I didn't know much about it, but it sounded like something that was interesting. And so I joined, and I believe it might have been somebody like Philip Page, who considered himself the AIM ambassador in our area at that time. And I got involved in the organization, and when I walked into the door of the IRS, I came to the IRS for a job. And AIM-IRS was the first place where I saw people that were doing things in the IRS that said to me, I could have a career here. I could have a career here because I see people who look like me who are in some pretty prestigious positions. At that time, I didn't know what some of the positions meant, but I was smart enough to go back and ask questions and look it up and say, what's a branch chief? What's a division chief? And so it was one of the organizations that made me realize that, number one, I had the ability to take control of my career. I could decide how far I wanted to go in this organization, and I knew that I had a support system that would help me get there. And throughout my time at IRS, I've always used the folks who I met in AIM as a way of validating whether I should apply for this job I was interested in, understanding and determining whether I was going to work for somebody crazier than the person I was already working for. Was I jumping from the frying pan into the fire, or was this going to be a good move for me? And just so many other things that AIM opened up for me. What I hope for this organization, in addition to the change that Neural talked about in terms of automation and using some of the things that we need to be using to communicate, is to see us get back to that walking up to people's desks and telling them what the organization is about. Amen. I travel around the country and my job is chief of staff, and I'm often looking to see what's going on in different chapters, and I oftentimes don't see anything. Every African American that comes to see me about a discrimination complaint or a reasonable accommodation, particularly new employees, who I see often. Why? Because they're not covered by the union. So when they're not covered by the union, they have a problem, they know they can come to EEO. I ask them, do they know about AIM? Have you talked to anybody at AIM? I used to send many of them to Till Ellington, but she retired last year, so. Got different folks I think. But I think we all have a responsibility, those of us who continue to work, to make sure that this organization stays alive, and that we make sure that we leave a body of employees here at the IRS that not only understand the value that this organization has, but the history of how the organization got started, why it was needed. And I tell you, if you look back to when AIM got started, not very, very far from here, some of the reasons it started are starting to show back up in the workplace and in our country. So we don't think we need AIM-IRS. I think we need to rethink that. And we need to understand that we need AIM-IRS more now than we did probably back then. Okay? And so take it from somebody who sees discrimination complaints from the inside. Okay? We need AIM-IRS. So that's you all's charge. I want you all to leave here and make sure you do your part in ensuring that AIM-IRS is revived. If you're not working and you're retired, you know some folks that are still working at the IRS. Have some conversation and ensure that they're passing on the importance of this organization and the need for it to continue to exist in this space. So without further ado, I want to invite our panel, our dais, to come up and have a seat. So I want to ask Karen Hawkins to come forward. I want to ask LaTanya Brooks to come forward. And I want to ask Dr. Willardine Wilkerson to come forward so that they're teed up for when we're ready to go with them. And I want to ask James Kent to come forward so you can have a seat. Because I want them to look at y'all. We live. We all look at y'all live the whole time.
Oh.
The whole time? The whole time.
Oh.
So first up, we're going to have Karen Hawkins. And Karen I've known for quite some time. Karen is the Territory Manager in Large Business and International Northeastern Compliance Practice Area, Mid-Atlantic, covering Southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, Delaware, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. Throughout her 37-year career with the service, Karen has worked in examinations, employment tax, quality review, and exempt organizations, which is now TEGE. As a former NTU steward, Karen has brought her working and institutional knowledge to the AIM-IRS organization. She's been an AIM-IRS member since the 1980s, served as a board member for many years, is vice president of the Philadelphia chapter of AIM-IRS, and is co-chair of the 2018 AIM-IRS Mid-Atlantic Region Conference being held here today in King of Prussia. Karen, I ask you to come up and present to us and lead us in the national anthem.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. Thank you all for being here today. Can we stand? We're going to sing the Black National Anthem. We're going to do just the first verse in interest of time, but we want you to kind of join us in singing this with us. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Thank you very much.
Amen. Go ahead.
You know, I talked a little bit about my exposure, my introduction to AIM, and I'm not sure, there's probably one person in the room that can tell me what year this was, but this next person I'm going to introduce, this is the year that I met her, was at a National AIM Conference in Queen. It was at the National AIM Conference that was in Atlanta, and Susan Taylor, who was the editor-in-chief of Essence, was our speaker. Do you remember what year that was? Whatever year that was, that was
It
the
was
year.
in the 70s.
No, it had to be in the 80s, I'm thinking. Late 80s, maybe. But we'll have to figure that out. But that's the year that I met LaTanya Brooks. And over those years, we've been roommates at AIM conferences.
Yes.
We've been fast friends throughout our careers. She's taken a bunch of different jobs. I think when I met her, she was a revenue officer and I was a taxpayer service specialist. And she rose to the level of executive at IRS before retiring. But just to talk about how deep roots go when you're in this organization. I talked about the year I met LaTanya just this week. I finished working with her. One of the things that she talked to me about before she retired was the need and the desire to give back to low-income people. And I gotta share this. You know, I can talk about all the stuff in our bio, but y'all can read that on the app. You know, I gotta share that, how impressed I am with her. because she talked about having a vision for herself when she retired. She was one of the first people who said to me, you know, you don't got to be 60 or 62. If you can go at 55, you know, I'm going. You know, she used to walk around, I'm going, and I'm going when I can go, and I know what I'm going to do. And she said, I'm going to go back to where I grew up, and I'm going to open up some Vita sites. And I'm going to help folks who don't have money to give people $200 and $300 to prepare a simple tax return. And so, you know, you hear people say all these things that they're going to do, and then I watched her for the 2 years before she retired in D.C. volunteering at Vita sites because she was going to have her stuff right when she opened her site. And I am so proud of her. And I was so proud this year for the following season, every Thursday, to take leave from work to go work at her Vita site, the Z House, and to watch her dream come alive. This woman went to banks, went to PNC Bank, and made sure that if you didn't have a bank account, she made an agreement with them that they would cash your check if she gave them a letter from the Z House Vita site. I watched her say to people, don't worry about it. Go back home and get your 2014, because if we don't get that money for you by the 15th, you're going to lose some money. I watched her get on the phone and figure out tax law and call people from IRS who worked on the tax law to make sure some nuance was done correctly so that this taxpayer would be taken care of. That's the kind of people AIM-IRS breeds. And so I am honored to introduce to you LaTanya Brooks, who's currently the founder and CEO of Zacchaeus House for Tax Assistance, Inc. Z House, as it's known, offers free state and federal tax preparation and tax relief services to underdeserved residents of Camden, New Jersey, and surrounding communities. The mission is to provide tax resolution and financial literacy services for its customers at the point of filing through an all-year volunteer income tax assistance site using facilitated and self-help options available digitally through the IRS Online Access and a consortium of local partners. LaTanya is recently retired from the IRS in 2015 after 37 years with the service. She retired as the IRS Director, Media and Publications, with responsibilities for the IRS print and publishing operations, which included 15,000 tax-related forms and delivery of new legislative forms each filing season. She also serves as the Area Director, Collection California, and the Acting Area Director, Stakeholder Partnerships, Education, and Communities for the 13 Western states. For 9 years, LaTanya was the Pennsylvania Field Assistance Territory Manager following her time as a Collection Analyst, Manager, and Revenue Officer. She began her career as a Revenue Officer Co-op in '79, where she was quickly embraced by the network of members within the fairly new organization called the Association for Improvement of Minorities in the Internal Revenue Service. Her AIM mentors recognized her potential and continually encouraged her to reach for higher goals. LaTanya holds a BS in Business Administration from the College of New Jersey. In her spare time, she enjoys cooking, traveling, and summers at the Jersey Shore with family and friends. It is my honor to introduce my friend, LaTanya Brooks.
This is my second speech I wrote, little speech by welcome and opening remarks, and I'm going to toss most of this because when I saw that, it reminded me of two examples, and I think my life experiences in these two examples will say more than just some words I put on a piece of paper. Kelli Key, yes, we go way back. Creating change and finding a balance. So I thought about that, and for me right now, creating a change in what I did here and finding my balance means coming back here and speaking to you so I can feel your presence and you can feel mine. And how did I know to do that? I learned it from Kelli Key. I came back to Philadelphia from New York as a territory manager, and like a week when I got here, we had a meeting with all the territory managers, most of them in eastern Pennsylvania here. And they were all bards were there. And the only speakers and the only people of color were me, we going to jobs, and Kelli. And it was in a U shape. The room was filled with, I'll be honest, with white males. And I said, they have people that used to work in SB and collection